Breaking news right now here at 5, happening just as we are going on the air. Everybody, a mistrial has just been declared moments ago in the trial of Brett Hankison, which, as you know, is the federal civil rights violations trial that has been underway in downtown Louisville.
The jury unable to reach a verdict for either of the two charges Hankison is charged with. The jury has already asked for court's transcripts. They did not specify testimony, so the attorneys and the judge instructed them instead just to rely on their own memory. However, after learning of the first deadlock, prosecutors felt that they needed more information. Still, the judge would not give it to them. That happened hours ago, earlier today. The jury was sent back twice, instructed to keep discussing the case, still keep working toward a verdict, but they sent back a note just a few hours ago saying they could not reach a verdict. The judge saying it could be the totality of the circumstances beyond repair, and they would not make them keep going.
So now they'll be clearing the courtroom. The case has been declared a mistrial. Again, if you're just joining us, the judge sent the jurors a note asking if the deadlock on all the charges are just one, and that they could possibly come back with a verdict on the partial charges. But again, they came back with a decision of mistrial, the judge just declaring it. Now, the jury, it was made up of 6 men, 6 women. Only one juror was black. Hankison facing 2 charges of federal civil rights violations. And we're going to continue to talk about this story coming up in just a little bit, as Louisville attorney Nick Mudd, who has tried federal cases, will be with us live to explain what's happening in the courtroom. A lot going on and more details here to come.
And what could come next, as this trial now finished for now.
That's right. Will prosecutors decide to retry him? That's another big decision still to come from this.
Good to have an expert here to help us figure that out. Well, we're also following some breaking news out of Indiana right here at 5 o'clock. A former school resource officer has been arrested and charged with child seduction charges.
We've also learned that that man was also a former baseball coach. Indiana State Police say this man, 63-year-old Timothy Armstrong, allegedly had inappropriate communications with a male student between April and August of 2022. Police discovered during the 15-month investigation that those crimes occurred when he was also an SRO, a school resource officer for the Madison Consolidated School District. From previous stories we've reported on Armstrong, we also know that he was once the Madison Junior High School's varsity boys baseball coach. Armstrong was arrested and taken to the Jennings County Jail. WHAS11 Night Team's Connor Steffen is in Madison. He is following the story now to get reaction. We'll have more coming up for you at 11 o'clock tonight. And happening today, we are remembering Sgt Tom Pky, the Ballardsville, Kentucky firefighter who died over the weekend battling a wildfire.
Today, his family, friends, and fellow first responders came together at his funeral service. WHAS11's Ian Hardwitt and photojournalist Jessica Farley show us how the dedicated father and friend was honored.
We will never be able to fully convey our sorrow, gratitude, and admiration for this brave soul.
Hundreds of souls joined in mourning for Sgt Tom Pky Jr., a brother to his fellow firefighters and father of 2 children.
The ultimate selfless sacrifice Tom made.
They come from near and far, somber as his casket moves inside a house of worship. Joining in song and spirit, making time to honor a man who made time for others, who focused on the future.
I've known Tom for 10 years, but it seems like a lifetime because Tom made time. We first met when he joined the department. I had already been a member for 10 years, so I had the privilege of showing him the ropes.
The bell tolls for Pky's heroic soul, fellow firefighters feeling it through the helmet he left behind. The sounds call him to a place beyond this.
LCD to Sgt Tom Pky.
He can't call and respond to his name here, but he's watching over us.
This is the last and final call for Sgt Tom Pky. Sgt Pky, rest in peace.
Investigators right now have put a stop to an organized crime ring that cost several Lowe's stores nearly $1 million, many of them right here in Louisville, also Frankfort, Lexington, Owensboro, and Evansville. Take a look at these pictures. Jeffersontown police recovering these stolen items from 2 of the suspects' homes and several properties. The overall loss, according to authorities, to one Louisville store alone is more than $300,000. 2 men already arrested in this case have already been in court this week. Arrest citations for Aubrey Walker and William Walker say they were charged with engaging in organized crime and theft by deception. Investigators identified both men using video surveillance footage from those stores. On Wednesday, both men pleaded not guilty and their bonds were set at $250,000. But they didn't work alone, according to police. Police believe there's been 3 more men involved in this organized crime ring. They've issued arrest warrants for Anthony Phillips, Gary Carmen, and Robert Lewis. Phillips and Carmen are wanted out of Franklin County. Lewis is wanted out of Franklin and Hardin County. Jeffersontown police need your help finding all 3 of these men. And at the moment, everyone in this case could also face federal prosecution.
Well, after several days of sunshine, finally that shift in the weather we've been talking about is inching closer.
We might have a little bit of rain, and Colleen has been telling you about it all week long, so let's get an update. I know how things change as we get closer to when it moves in, Colleen.
Yeah, I don't mind the 70-degree weather, but I know some people are wanting the cold weather, especially as we're inching our way towards Thanksgiving, which is next week. We are seeing a beautiful sunset. I don't think we're going to see rain throughout the rest of the day today, but tomorrow, that's a different story. We have our eyes on our next system that will bring some cold weather this weekend and also some scattered showers for your Friday. Right now, we're sitting at 71 degrees. For the evening, we'll be sitting in the 60s, and in fact, past 9 p.m., you might see an isolated sprinkle out there, and that means temperatures likely going to be staying in the 50s, not too cold overnight tonight. Now tomorrow throughout the morning and midday, that is when we are expecting some scattered showers. Temperatures in return are going to be staying in the low 60s. So after that rain clears out, we are going to have a very nice cool weekend, plenty of sunshine. Saturday afternoon, we'll be sitting in the low 50s, upper 30s overnight on Saturday night and Sunday morning. Could even get below freezing in some spots, with highs staying in the 50s yet again on Sunday. So we have some showers in that forecast throughout the day tomorrow, just some scattered light rain. Then this weekend, beautiful sunshine. It is going to be a really lovely weekend with some cool weather sitting in the 50s. And then we have our first look at your holiday travel. A big wave of rain heading our way. A few days before Thanksgiving, I'm going to time it out and also show you what kind of temperatures we can expect for Thanksgiving Day here coming up shortly. Shay, Doug.
All right, Colleen, thank you. Kentucky drivers who need to renew their registration at the beginning of the year should give themselves a little bit extra time. That's because the Office of Technology and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet will be installing a new vehicle title and registration system. The Jefferson County Clerk's Office says the services affected include issuing decals, license plates, parking permits, and vehicle transfers. That process is expected to take at least 2 weeks.
Today, during his Team Kentucky update, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear announcing that Vicki Reed, the longtime commissioner of the Department of Juvenile Justice, is now resigning. Reed's resignation will be effective at the start of next year. Beshear appointed her to the position in August of 2021. Before that, she served as the director of Kentucky Juvenile Justice Initiative. Today, Governor Beshear thanked Reed for her leadership during a period of significant change in that department, saying it wasn't easy, but every day Reed tried to do her best.
Today, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg announced the plans for this year's 43rd annual Light Up Louisville celebration. Light Up Louisville will have a new date this year, Saturday, December 2nd. The fun kicks off at 4 p.m. with holiday crafts and treats on 6th and Jefferson Streets. And then at 6 p.m., the Lots of Lights Parade with Frosty the Snowman as the Grand Marshal. It'll roll right down Jefferson Street. Finally, Santa Claus and Mayor Craig Greenberg will officially light the 40-foot tall tree in the middle of Jefferson Square Park at 7:45. Right now, unionized Starbucks workers across the country are striking for what's being called the Red Cup Rebellion. This was the scene at a number of our local Starbucks this morning. Empty parking lots, doors locked. Union representatives at more than 300 stores say Starbucks has not made efforts to bargain in the last 5 months. The Workers United Union wants to meet over staffing and scheduling issues. Today's strike comes on Red Cup Day, which is when Starbucks hands out free reusable cups to customers. It's a very busy day for customer traffic, which is why the union also wants Starbucks to turn off mobile orders on future promotion days. A supervisor in Seattle says in the past, these kinds of promotional days have brought up to 220 transactions every half hour. That would be a 40% boost in business.
They told us they tried to staff the floor as much as possible, but baristas were incredibly stressed. Their mental health was declining, and we even sustained some physical injuries, which was not good.
The strike is only one day. The union is calling on all Starbucks stores, unionized or not, to join the walkout.
It developed late last night, a chaotic protest outside the Democratic National Committee as pro-Palestinian demonstrators forced the evacuation of several lawmakers at Capitol Hill. Capitol Police say the gathering was illegal and violent, but the protesters in Washington dispute this, saying the violence wasn't coming from them, but from the police. Well, authorities say it was about 150 people who gathered right near the steps of the DNC, demanding a ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Officials say 6 officers were hurt, ranging from minor cuts to being pepper sprayed and punched. But many protesters say it wasn't them, but the police who instigated the violence.
Came out here to say ceasefire now. We did not come out here to fight or to be violent. The violence happened to us as soon as we got out here.
The group behind the pro-Palestinian demonstration say 90 people were hurt. The U.S. Capitol Police say that so far 1 protester has been arrested.
Now to that high-stakes meeting between President Biden and China's President Xi Jinping. The two men met just outside of San Francisco on Wednesday, not far from the APEC summit. ABC's Rena Roy has more on the meeting.
For the first time in over a year, President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping meeting Wednesday, the two appearing to strike a friendlier tone in their marathon 4-hour discussion. The meeting carefully choreographed from this stroll to smiles and handshakes.
And I believe that they were some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
The leaders agreeing to work together on 2 major issues, curbing the spread of fentanyl and resuming military-to-military communications.
We weren't going to solve all the military tension between their army and ours here in one 4-hour meeting. But I will say, to get the military-to-military communications back up and running, it can have a very significant effect going forward.
Still, many difficult hurdles remain, like the future of Taiwan and the theft of U.S. intellectual property. Asked whether he trusts President Xi, Biden responding,
"Trust but verify, as that old saying goes. My responsibility is to make this rational and manageable, so it doesn't result in conflict."
And last night, he was asked if he would still refer to Xi as a dictator.
Look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
China calling the comment extremely wrong and irresponsible political manipulation, but U.S. officials say they are not concerned at all that the comment will undo any progress made in stabilizing the U.S.-China relationship. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
All pandas in the U.S. are on lease from China. The last pandas left the American zoos are set to be returned next year. But we got some good news out of that meeting. China's president stated that the Chinese will be sending new pandas to zoos in the United States, calling them envoys of friendship between the Chinese and American peoples.